Since you landed on this video, you're probably thinking about what's happening with the VA and its new rating decisions for disabilities that came out yesterday and are moving forward through 2026. Congratulations, I'm going to tell you about it, but also as a fellow veteran, truly sorry, don't want to make this video, but it has to be made. And that's because the VA just changed how it rates disabilities when medications help your symptoms. Major change. And stay with me, because near the end, I'm going to connect this to something that most channels are never going to talk about because it's not on their radar. And that's how this can hit SDVOSB owners. That's right. Those who are certified as service-disabled, veteran-owned small business owners, your government contracting pipeline, and yes, even your spouse's benefits if you are 100% P&T. So stay with me because these are the stakes and this is the plan. Next 5 minutes, we're going to go over 4 big things. 1, what was that rule that was changed? 2, what does the rule say now? 3, why did the VA actually change its rules versus what it's saying it changed its rules because of? Good questions. And then 4, what should SDVOSB owners do and treat this as? Because this is a business risk. It's not just a benefits headline. So before we hit on how this is going to impact service-disabled, veteran-owned small business owners, we need to help them understand what they can do in order to secure their certified disabled, veteran-owned small business certification status. That means we got to start at the beginning. So what happened? Let's do it really quick. The VA issued an interim final rule called Evaluative Rating, Impact of Medication. It amends the rating rules in 38 CFR 4.10. Didn't understand what I said? That's okay. Let's bring it down, take a break. What do I say? Well, the VA is telling examiners not to play the what would you look like without treatment guessing game. What they're saying is if medication or treatment improves your symptoms, the VA can and should rate you based on how you function with that treatment. What does this mean? Well, for a lot of veterans, what they're first thinking about is, wow, great, the treatment plan is working, great news, but I'm also now going to get less money. Well, what was it before? Well, over the years, court decisions really have pushed that idea about. For a lot of these conditions, by the way, that the VA rates, and for a lot of these conditions, the VA could not just say your meds help and then use that improvement to keep your rating lower, especially when the diagnostic code did not explicitly mention medication. Then a case called Ingram v. Collins poured gasoline on this whole thing. The concern, as the VA describes it from the VA, is that the decision could force VA examiners to estimate a baseline severity without meds. That means hypothetical symptoms, hypothetical limitations, hypothetical everything. You get the point. And honestly, what the VA is saying is, well, nothing says medical accuracy, like asking a clinician to role play an alternate universe where you stop treatment. Well, that really sets the stage. Because let's talk about the VA's official reason for changing it. And then honestly, the reason nobody wants to say out loud as probably being the biggest catalyst for why the VA needed to change this rule. The rule about stories is as equally true in life as it is when it comes to this VA rating decision. What's that rule? Well, every story has 2 sides. And this is the case here because there is the official VA point of view of why they're doing this. And then there is the, let's follow the money and see what the money is telling us. And the reason why the VA is doing this, according to them, is that it comes down to a basic clarification of how the VA has always interpreted ratings. They say that the court line of cases has created a standard that is disruptive, burdensome, and forces speculative medical opinions. They also used the quote-unquote good cause to skip the normal, slow public process, claiming that they needed this to happen immediately, or these rulings could create delays and chaos across hundreds of diagnostic codes and thousands of pending claims. That's what they are saying, and that's the official story. But now let's go to the second part of the story and follow the money, because budgets do not have feelings. They just have panic attacks. And the Congressional Budget Office's most recent report that came out this month shows mandatory spending on veterans benefits jumping hard. I mean hard. From about $251 billion in 2025 to about $301 billion in 2026. That is roughly a 20% jump in a single year. Now, the CBO also notes that disability compensation is the giant in the room. It is more than 3/4 of veterans' mandatory outlays. Let me say that again. The CBO notes disability compensation is the giant in the room. Why are they changing these standards? Well, they're either doing it because historically that's how they've always done it and they're trying to clarify it, or B, the disability payments are ballooning so much that they need to be tamped down because there are more than 3/4 of veterans' mandatory outlays as of today. Now, you look at the longer term. CBO projects mandatory outlays for veterans programs rising to about $491 billion by 2036. So I can't read minds at the VA. None of us can. But when the biggest bucket is growing this fast, clarifying long-standing policy starts to smell a lot like cost control wearing a fake mustache. Now, if you're thinking, okay, but am I the only one who thinks this is messed up? Nope. Let's talk about who's pushing back. As you might expect, those who are pushing back run the gamut from those institutions like Disabled American Veterans all the way to the VFW, to individual veterans, and also a multitude of politicians and individuals in the media. Major veteran organizations lit up the dashboard. The fire alarm went off, the smoke signal went up. Everybody was alerted by the bugle. DAV is arguing that this could reduce compensation for millions of veterans and criticizes how fast and closed the process was. The point is simple. A lot of veterans take medication. If medication becomes a bigger factor in rating severity, a lot of people could feel it. The VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, raises serious concerns that this penalizes veterans for following treatment and creates pressure to look worse on paper. That is really the nightmare scenario. People avoiding treatment because they're afraid of losing benefits. And by the way, this is a well-known fact inside of the area of this type of benefit attribution. And reporting on the change also points out that it could touch a wide range of claims, from musculoskeletal issues to mental health conditioning. In other words, this is not just a niche policy tweak for 3 guys and a service dog. This is pretty big. This is bigger than most changes when it comes just to a VA rating. And the reason why it's important for us to talk about this in a business context is that for many, many service-disabled veteran-owned small business owners, their certification of their business and their rating for disability are very much intertwined. It's not just personal, it's not just business. It goes throughout. And here is really how the rule change is going to hit those SDVOSB certified companies and individuals in real life terms. First and foremost, cash flow risk. A lot of SDVOSB business owners use VA compensation as stability during contract gaps, slow pays, and that classic government vibe of we're going to pay you eventually, probably someday, trust us. If ratings trend lower over time for some claims, that cushion is naturally going to shrink. Second one really comes down to founder bandwidth risks, and this is more of an immediate short-term risk. New exams, reevaluations, documentations, appeals, that is time. And time is the most valuable commodity in the universe. And it's also the one resource you cannot invoice on a fixed price contract. And if you need to go back through your ratings or your appeals, this is going to take away time and focus from your business. And it's also going to create a massive amount of uncertainty at where your certification as an SDVOSB company lies. Think about that one for a second. Third, you're always going to get certification friction and proposal season chaos. I think it's bad enough not to know exactly where your SDVOSB certification may lie. Imagine this. Remember, SDVOSB certification relies on the VA rating you both as a service-connected disability holder, and that service-connected disability being at a high enough rating to be issued a service-disabled veteran-owned small business certification. Now, anything that's going to create a delay or paperwork or churn in VA documentation can and most likely will become a business distraction at the worst possible moment. Really, like when you're trying to submit a proposal and somehow the proposal site is down. That's how they're going to feel. But here's the other part that people aren't really thinking about. Remember, the VA gives you your rating. Now the SBA is the one who issues up your service-disabled veteran-owned small business certification. Well, now you have to go back and forth between 2 agencies if there is any concern about where your SDVOSB certification lies based upon how you are rated by the VA. Always going to be a place of a lot of friction and obviously a lot of frustration. And fourth, think about this for those who are 100% P&T and your spouse is running the business. There's a whole lot of benefits that your spouse and your kids are likely going to get. But the number one you really have to start thinking about is insurance coverage and what this is going to do to what you need to provide for your business in terms of health insurance instead of coverage, in terms of them being able to work and be able to support themselves and support the families. This is going to have a massive amount of change. And really, at the end of the day, nothing says focus on your capture strategy, much like suddenly shopping for health insurance like it's a used car. Guys, gals, this is coming down the pike. It's something that's big. You need to pay attention to it. It just won't impact your VA disability payments. It's also going to impact your SDVOSB certification as a small business. So what do you do about this? That's going to be the most important question. Like this, comment this, Pause this so you can write it down, record it. This is what you need to do. Number one thing, I can't emphasize this enough. Do not quit your meds because a rule change. Do not do that. Talk to your doctor. Strategic stuffing is not a leadership style. It's not a smart move. Keep taking your meds, keep taking your treatments. Figure this out on the backside. 2, you need to document functional impact like you are building a case file for a future version of yourself. I want work impact, flare-ups, limits on daily activities. Email notes back to yourself so that in the future you can say, look, I have an auditable tag right here that I sent an email to myself saying, throwing up in the trash can, couldn't do any work. This is huge because you need to build a case file for the version of you in the future. The VA, by the way, is emphasizing function, so give them function. Function, function, function. 3, SDVOSB owners, you need to treat your VA decision letters and disability documentation like critical business records. No more kind of throwing them away and thinking that you can just get into the VA benefit system and pull that down. Keep them. Keep them on paper, keep them backed up, keep them in your system, keep a clean folder, digital and physical. If you ever need to prove status quickly and you do not want to go digging around through a shoebox like it's a crime scene, keep it in one place. And if you want really a follow-up on what SDVOSB owners can do to let others know, especially the larger primes, that their SDVOSB certification is secure, feel free to comment below. We'll give you some ideas. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is a really important matter for every single veteran. So please subscribe. Thanks for watching.